This is Foundations of Math and Pre-Calculus 10, Chapter 9.3. We're going to be solving problems using systems of linear equations. And we've done this before, so we're just getting more practice with word problems. Remember, you need to have two variables and two equations. And let's look at how we break this down. Jenny's grandma put $10,000 in saving bonds for her in trust. Some of it was at 3% and the rest was at 3.5%. Over 16 years, the simple interest came out to $5,320. How much money was invested at each rate? You need to know the simple interest formula. And the interest is equal to the principal times the rate times the time. And this is in years. And usually the rate is in years as well. And these rates are in years. Okay, before we can do any equations, we need to have variables. So we'll have B1 as the amount at 3%, and we'll have B2 as the amount at 3.5%. So it says $10,000, and some of it was at 3%, and the rest was at 3.5%. So these two added together must be 10,000. Next, we need another equation. We need to use this because the total amount of interest is this. So we have P, that's our principal, and that's the amount of the bond. So 5,320 equals B1 times, and the rate, this is a percentage, it needs to be converted to a rate, so that's 0.03, and the number of years is 16. And then we add that to the other interest. That's B2 times 0.035 times 16. Now, you can solve this either way with substitution or elimination, but I think substitution will work well here. B1 equals 10,000 minus B2. We substitute it into here. We get 5,320 equals, we get 10,000 minus B2 times 0.48, and here we get B2 times 0.56. So this works out to be 5,320 equals 4,800 minus 0.48 B2. We just want to rearrange it because normally the coefficient comes out front, 0.56 B2. Bring this over to the other side, we're subtracting it. So we get 520 equals 0.56 minus 0.48 is 0.08 B2. We do 520 divided by 0.08 equals B2. And B2 works out to 6,500. Plug this back in. We get B1 equals 10,000 minus 6,500. And we get 3,500. So our answer is $3,500 at 3%. And we have $6,500 at 3.5%. Next problem. Okay, Phil wants to make pancakes with 2% milk, except he only has 1% and 3.25% milk. He needs 250 milliliters of 2% milk. how much of 1% and 3.25% milk does he need to combine for this recipe? You need to know that the percent is the percentage of fat. And to get the amount of fat, we have to take the percentage and multiply this by the volume. First of all, we need the variables. We can have volume 1, volume 2. So volume 1 plus volume 2 equals 250, because we said needs 250 milliliters. Now we need to look at the amount of fat. We can just use a straight percentage because the percentage is everywhere, rather than using decimals, because we're not interested in the amount of fat, we're just interested in the volume. So we have 1 times V1 plus 3.25 times V2 equals 2% times 250 milliliters, that's volume. See how all the expressions work out to be the same? Percent times volume, percent times volume, percent times volume. So we're dealing with the same units. Okay, what looks easiest here? It doesn't matter. We'll just multiply this by -1. Actually, we'll multiply this one by -1. So we have minus V1 minus V2 equals -250. Now it's very easy to subtract. We don't have any negative numbers. If we made this one negative, then we'd be dealing with negative numbers. So this cancels out. We have 2.25 V2. We have 2 times 150 minus 250, that's 250, because that's 1 250. Okay, V2 equals 250 divided by 2.25. And this is approximately 111. V1 plus 111 equals 250. That means V1 equals 250 minus 111 equals 139. So we have 139 milliliters of 1% and 111 milliliters of 3.25% milk. Let's look at the next problem. It takes 3 carpenters and 6 apprentices to frame a house in 40 over 9 days. It takes 2 carpenters and 8 apprentices to frame the same house in 30 over 7 days. What fraction of the house can a carpenter frame by himself in a day, and the apprentice as well? Okay, so you should know that work equals rate times time. That is the formula we're using. Next, we need to come up with variables. So logical choice is C and A. We have 3C plus 6A equals, and what does it equal? It equals a house. That's one house. We have rate. So 3 times a rate is still a rate. 6 times a rate is still a rate. So we still need to multiply this by time. And this is 40 over 9. What's our second equation? Well, it's going to be 30 over 7 times 2 carpenters and 8 apprentices. And they're still building one house. What's the easiest way to solve this? Well, it's going to be elimination. But we want to do a rearrangement first. We don't want to expand this. So let's multiply both sides by the reciprocal, and we'll get something that looks a little easier. So this is 9 over 40, and we have 2c plus 8a, and that equals 7 over 30. Okay, we need to multiply this by something and this by something. So let's multiply this by -2, and we'll multiply this one by 3. And we'll go this way. So this is -6c plus, well, actually that's going to be -12a, and this is going to be -9 over 20. So I'm canceling a 2 out with a 2 from the 40, so that leaves 20. Okay, this one should be a little bit easier. 6c, 3 times 8, 24. And I'm going to cancel a 3 out from here and a 3 out from there, so this is 7 over 10. Okay, now we can go ahead and add the two. This cancels out. 24a minus 12a is 12a. We can't add this right away. We need a common denominator, so this is 14 over 20. So 14 minus 9, that leaves us 5 over 20. This simplifies to 1 over 4. So we have a equals 1 over 4 divided by 12. This is a fraction over a number. So we take the denominator and multiply it by the denominator, and we get a single fraction. So a equals 1 over 48. We need to plug it back into one of these formulas. This one looks easiest. So we have 3c plus 6 over 48 equals 9 over 40. We're going to simplify this. 3c equals 9 over 40. This becomes negative, and it's going to be 1 over 8. We just divide the top and bottom by 6. 3c equals, again, we need a common denominator. That's going to be the 40. So we need to multiply this by 5 over 5. And we get 4 over 40. And that simplifies to 1 over 10. So 3c equals 1 over 10. And we're going to divide that by 3. And again, fraction over a number. We can combine the denominators. This is 1 over 30. So Carpenter builds 1/30 of a house per day. Apprentice builds 1/48 of a house per day. Okay, and that's about as hard as an example as you're going to get. And that's probably a level 5-6 question. Let's look at a simpler one. This is going to be a level 3-4. Joey is 4 times older than Michelle. In 6 years, Joey will be only twice as old as Michelle. How old are each of them now? So, logical variables, J and M. So J is 4M. And in 6 years, so we're talking about J plus 6, and we're talking about M plus 6, because that's their age in 6 years. Joey will only be twice as old. So twice as old means you have to put brackets around twice her age at that time. If you put 2M plus 6, that would be incorrect, because really this is 2M plus 3. and you're not adding the same age to both of them. Okay, so logical choice, J, substitution. 4m plus 6 equals, and we're going to expand this, 2m plus 12. Bring the 2m over to this side, so it's negative 2m, that's 2m. Bring the 6 over to this side, it becomes negative 6. So we have 12 minus 6 is 6. Divide both sides by 2, m equals 3. Plug this back in, and we get j equals 4 times 3, and that's 12. So answer, Joey is 12, Michelle is 3. And that completes this lesson.